So what's the context like? How has it been, working through this global pandemic for you in the MENA office, but also your teams on the ground and host communities? What's been the refugee response during COVID, and walk us through a little bit about, what that workplace looks like for you guys.
Thank you, Nadia, and hello, everyone. So, of course, I mean, it was very challenging to shift and to try to do a lot of services online, or not to do some services at the beginning when the pandemic started. And what we have now is a lot of readiness after all this time dealing with the situation with COVID-19. And we were lucky at the beginning to make sure that we're working with the hosting communities of refugees, just to make sure that there is no spread of the pandemic in the refugees communities in the case of camps, etc. However, I think we came a long way now when it comes to specifically education and training, and in some cases some livelihood initiative that can happen online. So we are working very closely now with a lot of partners from the private sector and some governments, of course, just to make sure we're providing continuity of education and trainings for a lot of children. As you know, it's 40% of refugees are below 18, so they need a lot of support specifically on education. So this is now going on. It's growing. It's not perfect, I have to say, and this is where our new initiatives are specifically. So we're talking about a campaign now called Aiming Higher that really focuses on higher education for children who finishes university. So they are young girls and boys, so they can go to university. And it's a scholarship program that we're looking forward to fund with generous people, all around the world, and try to focus on the online learning part, just to make sure refugees who cannot travel, who cannot access some universities, they cannot live where they are, just to have this access. So hopefully their lives will change positively in a hopefully very positive, dramatic way to the best. So this is what I can say for our team. Just very quickly, we are working on a lot of initiatives online to support refugees through online donations.
So how critical is this situation? Can you give us a few stats of what are we seeing in the MENA region in terms of refugees?
The numbers are, I mean, we just, I cannot say celebrated the World Refugee Day, but we remember the World Refugee Day because
commemorated.
Exactly. So the numbers are just going up. We in 2019 we saw around 80 million displaced people all around the world. Now we're seeing 82.4. So that's a 4% growing globally. Unfortunately, we saw in the last 2 years 1 million newborn children outside, delivered outside their homes because their parents are refugees. We see the number of people going back home less and less because obviously the COVID-19 situation of that. So it's not good. And as you know, 60% of refugees are within the MENA region. So there's a lot of things that are to be done, to be honest. And the funding gap is so huge, and because of COVID-19, we just saw the situation getting worse and worse, especially for refugees who are in a emergency situation inside another emergency situation now.
So you just mentioned the funding gap. How are you and your team reimagining philanthropy to be able to address that funding gap?
We're focusing a lot on people like you and me, trying to mobilize resources from the whole region. Of course, the region is very generous historically, and people of the region are looking for a source that they can trust. And I can say that we're building this trust day after day through UNHCR with people, and speaking the same language, reporting back, being transparent, making sure that we're responsive, and making sure that we're helping directly refugees without extra overhead that is big. So with all of that, now my team is really focused on online, and of course we're having, as you mentioned earlier, we're having big partnerships with a lot of corporations. But our main focus is really mobilizing those people, from customers, from employees, and trying to engage them in a conversation to raise awareness about refugees, about the cause, and not to be afraid to talk about certain humanitarian situations and human stories. So we're doing this mostly online.
So we only have a couple more minutes. So I think for me, the big takeaway from that is there's opportunities for employees and corporates to get engaged with UNHCR. There's partnerships opportunities for anybody listening. Housam's going to be present in the lounge backstage after to be able to connect with. But my last question is, we talk a lot about tech today. How are you using tech then to enable kind of greater donations?
So our last initiative, after a lot of success since 2015, online donations, we just launched our app Give Zakat, and it's not only about zakat, but the name is Give Zakat, and it's focused on any kind of giving online, and it gives you the major part I want to mention before we finish is that you can track your donation, when it comes, where it goes, and when the refugee family receive it. So, and we're trying to be building more transparency through the app. So I invite everyone to go and download it from Apple or Android platforms and check it out and let us know what they think about it so we can improve.
I want to ask, how is it doing quickly before we go? How is the app doing? Are you seeing good results?
I mean, in Ramadan, we did very well, as it was a testing stage, but I think people are looking again for platforms to build relationship with the organization, to be loyal, and the organization to be loyal to them. So I think we're doing a very good start. And again, any advice or criticism is very welcome to make sure that we're on the right track in the future.